Across this great brown land, they're hard at work, sitting on their asses and slave-driving Magnaboss from Beast Wars to do all the heavy lifting of mining. The industry that
played a vital role in insulating the state from the worst of the global financial crisis.
Mostly by bringing it to us in the first place.
Can't be global unless everyone's involved, can it?
Shedding 15% of its employees within the first 6 months of the global financial crisis starting, which had the rest of the economy acted in the same way, our unemployment rate would have been 19%.
Oh, that's not even 1/5.
Kind of like our 1995 isn't $20.
I bet you could have a very rudimentary understanding of economics, kind of like this pizza box, and still know that.
Ooh, that's the biggest slice of the pizza.
And even though OK Sign Italian Man cartoons can see it, one lobbyist whose entire paycheck is needed to cosmetically transform himself into the splitting image of Bert from Sesame Street shockingly can't see it, and instead interprets the historical fact that the Australian mining industry had quite a deep recession while the Australian economy did not have a recession as...
By having a recession when everyone else didn't, it's kind of like bringing a prisoner to school so he can say, "Kiddies, I'm telling you, don't make the same choices in life I did, alright? You'll regret it." Scared the rest of you straight, didn't it?
Besides, drop in the ocean when the Australian mining industry is the lowest socio-economic mum with 10 babies of job creators, pumping out 500,000 jobs into the Australian economy. So saith the schoolyard bully in written form.
That you have to pay for to get your brain bashing? Oh man, and here I am doing the wedgie circuit for lunch money? I've got to think bigger and expand, boys.
Inspiration for the kids. The real number of people employed by mining peaked at 46,000 out of a labour force of 11 million people. Impressed? They hired the equivalent of everyone who lives in Shepparton Marupna,
the vibrant metropolis with a water tower in the town centre, just to tease albinos and declare that yes, we've got a pool that suits as sensitive to the sun's skin needs, but you can't use it, as it is a mystery pool. Never heard of Shepparton Marupna before?
Me either. You know why? 'Cause 46,000 people isn't many!
It's less than 10% of the employment the mining industry takes credit for, which is a figure that includes hotel staff that are employed by the mining industry because it sometimes books motel rooms in mining-heavy towns, which along with the increased value of the Aussie dollar it too is responsible for, has caused a shrinking in local tourism by as much as a fifth, as tourists that would normally go to these places to see.
I thought there was going to be a pit bull sausage dog here. Instead, it's just a pit with a bull in it chasing a dog with his sausage in its mouth.
Can't and don't go there, and as a result, mining in Queensland alone has crowd-closed 20,000 jobs.
Leaving a net gain of 26,000 jobs, and we're just rounding that off to the closest 500,000. You can do that, can't you, Professor of Mathematics at the University of Queensland? Yes, under the bribing people to get them to say whatever you want equation, this figure does make mathematical sense.
Thus, for every 2 jobs mining created, 1 other job would be destroyed.
But we're being taxed to the... I suppose if you used a person as a graph, it'd be about halfway up the shins.
At 13.9%, well below the industry average of 21% and the national corporate tax rate of 30%, making the mining industry the 10-year-old moving house of the economy, dragging its feet and whining.
Mining, can you please lift your corner of the bed frame?
I am! Don't upset me or I'll put you in opposition.
Yeah, but according to respected economists, my parents, who own a chicken shop and vote Liberal...
I learned everything I know about supply and demand by asking people if they want chicken salt or plain salt.
It's beneficial to the country because the income it generates circulates around the country in the form of McCain's and Truckosaurus tickets.
The Ariana Grande of mechanical monsters, as it is the hottest thing in town. Fiscally responsible combo pack. Especially when 80% of our resource revenue goes overseas without a single cent of it being taxed, leaving us in the astounding position of being at the tail end of the greatest resource boom in human history and being in a deficit, which as every VO5 gel addict knows is because...
Labor, this is how simple it is, guys. Time to get schooled. Went crazy with spending.
By being the 4th lowest spender in the OECD, spending far less than Howard.
And they still went into debt. And for what? To save us from the worst economic conditions since the Great Depression so I could continue my vitally important job of setting up Keno screens at the RSL so patrons of that club are kicked out at the end of the night singing, "No matter what they take from me, they'll never take my dignity."
Yes, just like everything else bad that happened between 2007 and 2013, us getting into deficit was all Labor's fault. Because even in the face of that level of economic upheaval, the so-called industry that keeps Australia afloat still refused to pay anything close to the level of its fair share in taxes, instead choosing to spend $100 million in advertising to convince you that in the very same decade the mining industry is projected to make $600 billion in profits, they couldn't possibly afford a $60 billion mining tax, as then they'd only be scraping by with a razor-thin $540 billion in profit, instead settling with the much fairer $126 million it collected before it was scrapped.
And I voted for that, because I'm as rock solid certain about it as I am that links is a substitute for personality in the dating world. I know it works.
Which I suppose is why the argument that employing a few thousand people while bragging to its shareholders that driverless haul trucks, trains and robotic drilling rigs have saved them from employing 900 more people this year with more labour efficiency measures planned for the future is really appealing to Liberal Party voters as it is the links of economic arguments.
Except it actually works. What the hell?
The mining industry helping the Australian economy. I guess every drop raises the ocean.
Please press the subscribe button now.
Come on.